Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio. And welcome to what I think is the last happy hour of the year.
What?
I think so. If you are choosing to drink or whatever you're choosing to do, please drink responsibly. Samantha, are you sipping on anything?
My bubble water, because we got a lot to do today. I can't be sleepy.
We do. Well, I'm still continuing my coquito from our book club episode.
Yeah.
So you know where we are. And yes, as this comes out, it is the day after Christmas. So Merry Christmas to anyone who celebrates. And there's just a couple of things I wanted to talk about. This will probably be a pretty short one. Because once again, I was trying to think of something. I'm like, everyone's stressed. I don't want to do an unhappy hour. Where's the happy hour? Where is it? Where are you, Christmas? Why can't I find you?
I say that every year.
The Grinch. But yeah, I just feel like this year, I feel like there's been a lot of endings. For example, my beach house that I've grown up with, my grandparents' beach house got sold. So that's kind of an ending.
That's an ending.
That's an ending. I've been pretty sad about it. I was very lucky to have it. Very privileged to have it. I could recognize that, but I'm very sad it's gone. And then I never got to go to the Eras tour, but I'm sad it's over because I didn't get to go. And then What We Do in the Shadows just ended, and I'm sad about that. So I feel like there's just been a lot of like endings, and then not even to talk about 2025. Pretend that doesn't exist for now. And then I was thinking about like, for me, even if it's a relief when Christmas is over, there's still like all of this buildup and then it's just done. And I remember like, especially when I got older, I would look around and be like, well, now I got to go take up all these decorations. Like, it just feels like a real pressure. And I, to be clear and transparent, I don't do that anymore because I don't go home for New Year's anymore. So my mom does it, but I still think about my mom doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm not going to help. I also almost did this episode about how there's been a lot of talk lately where young people are realizing that their moms buy their own gifts and wrap their own gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom always did that growing up. And people being so surprised. And then other people being like, yeah, I just assumed. So that's not great. That's not great. And then I found an article I really connected with about, it was called like post-Christmas stress, but it was about how, you're hanging out with people, you're going to parties, you're having a good time, but you just get so tired and you're out late, you're drinking more and you're eating more and you're doing all this stuff more than you normally would. And I have to say I've had a week and I'm continuing to have a week. And it's great because I have friends. It's wonderful. But my goodness, am I tired?
Yeah.
Yes. But I also found something that I wanted to talk about. And it's called a lot of things, but most people call it Txismas.
Mm.
And this is the period between Christmas and New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a quote from Helena Fitzgerald at The Atlantic. But for many of us, whether still celebrating holidays or having just finished Christmas festivities, this week is like a long hangover. To some degree, I think all of society feels a little aimless during these days. We're waiting for the new year with all its resolutions and hopes for starting over, but we're not quite done with the old one. I call it Dead Week, a time when nothing counts and when nothing is quite real. The British call this Boxing Week. I would love if listeners wrote in about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. While in Norway, it is called Romjul, which translates to time and space to celebrate Yuletide. It also harkens back to an Old Norse word meaning something along the lines of not adhering to any particular holiday. But others call it Txismas. And while it isn't officially recognized in the dictionary, that hasn't stopped companies from capitalizing on it and making it a week like Black Friday shopping and deals. So when I was looking this up, that's what I was mostly getting. Mm-hmm. Urban Dictionary suggests it may come from the slogan, Twix, take a break. from the popular candy.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say. Something about the candy. I'm like, interesting.
Nope, but maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I also learned about Women's Christmas, which is celebrated in Ireland on January 6th, which is 12 days after Christmas. Men would give women the day off by taking on their traditional roles, and goose is the typical meat that is served. Meanwhile, the women would get together and celebrate with each other, which could be like having tea or going to the bar, because prior to 1958, this was the only day women were allowed in pubs without a male chaperone.
What a low bar.
I know.
I can't really. Yep. One day. You get one day.
You get one day
year
after doing
of the most chaotic week
for Christmas.
And that day you can go get a drink. You're welcome. What the hell? Like, I know it's both like good. At least someone's doing it and it's recognized. This is that whole level of like, but this is bare minimum, y'all.
It's yes. And it's faded away from a lot of Ireland, but it is still celebrated in some places. So again, I would love if listeners write in about it.
Yeah.
It was also the day Christmas decorations were taken down because it was viewed as bad luck to leave them up any longer. So one would hope the men would be doing the taking down of decorations.
Yeah.
But I think when I think about this time, it does feel like a bizarre. You're not really off of work, but a lot of people are.
Mm-hmm.
It has a strange end of the school year vibe, but not in the like, oh, here's the last day, but more in the, I think it's over, but I have to still be around in case it's not over.
Right.
It's bizarre. Time does feel strange in the last week of the year. And for me, it has become, we've talked about this before, but for me, it has become an exercise in the value of doing nothing or just doing what you want to do before you get to the new year. And so I try to play my favorite games and watch my favorite movies and write fan fiction and read fan fiction, which unfortunately I'm way, way, way behind on. And again, if they knew, Samantha, they would blame you.
No.
And some other people.
Just
but
a few days. I give you plenty of time.
No, because then you're tired and you have to recover. And my fan fiction is intricate. I need to be firing on all cylinders. What do you think of this time of year? Do you have any plans?
You know, it's kind of gotten different because of the merging of family visits when it becomes a couple thing. And I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, oh, this is such a weird place for me, because for the first 39 years, this was not a thing where I visited other people's families because we were that intertwined, like getting into a relationship. So doing this has really kind of, and I think other couples will know, like made it more hectic. So because I want to blend time with people and making sure that we have time with people, because his family is from out of town, so we have to travel a good 6 hours away to get to them, we spend after Christmas with them. So spending Christmas at my parents for the day, but because they are closer to me, I get to see them more. So they're only an hour and a half away versus his family being like 5 to 6, 7 hours away, according to how many times we have to stop for him or for Peaches, because they're both bad about that. I'm all about driving straight there. I'm like, no brakes until we have to get gas. I'm the only one who thinks this way. But anyway, so it's interesting because it becomes elongated family times, which I don't mind at all, especially with his family. Like, I really do enjoy seeing them and hanging out with them. And like, we do game nights and we do like hangouts and we go to do different things. So it's a lovely time. And it's also kind of like, for me, feeling like I'm fulfilling some childhood stuff where I didn't get to play games with my family. We did not do that. My parents were too busy. My parents were too tired, rightly so. Like, there's so many things that they had to do in order to make sure we were good and were able to eat and survive and have a house and all these things, that oftentimes when they came home, that was the end of it. My brothers and I were not close. My oldest siblings were 5 to 10 year gap for my older 2 siblings and us. So of course they didn't want to hang out with us. They're, teenagers and we're little kids, elementary school kids. Or I didn't come into the US till I was 7. So my brother and I fought for the first 5 years of our lives, like pretty hardcore, who was closer to my age. And with all of that, so I didn't live like that. So we're going to like his families who they enjoy playing board games. We played Catan, your favorite game, twice. We still talk about your reaction to Catan in his family circle, just so you know, Anney. To the point that they know you so well. They ask about you. They've never met you. They've asked about you.
One time I'm going to be on this family trip with you. I'll be like, yeah.
I need you to. They would love it. I think they would have the best time with you. But all that to say, so for that, we have like an extended amount of time where it's visits. So it feels still like the holidays, that in between. And also, I've told you the New Year's gets kind of hectic in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
I hate that it's a stereotype about Atlanta, but there's a lot of shootings happening. And I don't think they're actually violent. They're celebratory, but it scares the hell out of me because I'm like, stray bullets. There's so many like semi-automatic weapons that are going off that I'm like, how did y'all get those? But that's not really the question. But yeah, so that time of the week is odd. It's more holidays. Like, it doesn't feel like an in-between. It feels like just the same, where it kind of, as of the celebrating the Yuletide, it feels that way still.
Yeah.
A very long answer, sorry.
No. I mean, it was interesting to read different people's responses, because some people were like, oh yeah, I continue it to keep on doing the holidays. And other people were like, I'm not leaving my pajamas. I'm drinking in the day and I'm watching TV. And I'm like, okay.
Or you do that with your family for the holidays. That's what we do.
Me too.
I love a good pajama day all day.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do now. I used to be more of I did a bunch more stuff, but then probably around the pandemic, I was like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm good. That's all right.
I mean, that's kind of where you cemented the New Year's pajama toast special holiday rendition of Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
Yeah. Just watching of Star Wars for people who don't know the original trilogy. With mac and cheese.
With lots of mac and cheese.
Then I make my soup. But I do think it's interesting because it does feel like a whole week that's like, we don't have it off, but we kind of do. It's bizarre.
Right.
It's a bizarre week.
I mean, we definitely work those hours. It's just we cram it all into like 2 weeks instead of the 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. But just like in general, not even just us. It just feels like a weird
setup to like, yeah. But once upon a time, when I worked in government, I only had 3 days off. And I was right back and came back.
Yeah.
The in-betweens were odd because a lot of people would take off, use their PTO to be with their families, especially with school out. So children being home, this was a thing.
Yeah.
Some people used to say, like, no, I can't be at home. I have to get, sorry, kids, good luck. Here's some ramen and some TV. No, I'm just kidding. But like, it was weird because the office, when I was a single person with no children, the office would be empty. Like, I'd just be there by myself because there was no reason for me to take those days off. And it was actually slower because people were like doing their own thing. The aftermath of that was a hellscape. But in between, truly working those like 9 to 5 jobs where you just have to be present, you have to do whatever, keep going. It was it felt eerie, but also nice to be alone in that office.
Yeah. I've told my story before about how I had to work the day after Thanksgiving once. And then no one believed I worked it, even though I had proof I did. But I was watching horror movies while I was just waiting stuff to encode, which was like my job. I just had to wait for it to encode. But I got spooked because I was the only person in there.
Surprise.
Looking around. Well, Listeners, I would love to hear from any of you if you have thoughts on this. If you have any traditions that you do during this final week of the year, especially listeners around the world, I would love to hear if any of this is true. I hope it is, but you never know unless you live in the place, honestly. So yeah, please write in. I hope you're doing well. Hope you do get to relax. We are planning some relaxation meditation episodes. So look forward to those. You can email us at stephanieandmomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter and Blue Sky at Momstuff Podcast, or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff Mom Never Told You. Also on YouTube, we have a TeePublic store, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff Never Told You is a production by iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your favorite shows.